Good afternoon, Facebook community. This is Jennifer Noreen. I'm here with Gary Parker from Barbecue to You. Hello, Gary.
Hello, how are you guys today?
I'm super. I'm sure everyone out there is good. Hopefully, they're eating some barbecue on this kind of
Uh,
hazed over PNW
yep,
Sunday. A little
yeah.
bit hazy out there, but we're used to that, right?
Well, it's better than the pouring down rain that's been happening recently, right? But I'll tell
I
you what, that,
know.
that hasn't stopped people from coming in. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
It's been a busy weekend so far.
that's great. Well, I heard you have a really good marketing agency, so I'm sure that's part of it. But
Yeah,
I would think that the bad weather would be good for your business because what you serve is comfort food. So,
yep. And
yeah.
uh, and they took full advantage of it the last couple of weekends.
Yep, yep. I'm glad to hear that. So I want to start this off just by talking about what the focus is going to be today. So we want to talk about 2020 in review. Talk a little bit of gratefulness, a little bit of thanking of the community, some of the lessons that you learned. So why don't you just kick us off with some of that? So what was 2020 like for Gary Parker and Barbecue to You?
Well, it certainly didn't go the way that we had planned for it to go, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you kick back and think about what were we doing this time last year, you and I, actually, for that matter, is if you remember, we were sitting there having conversations. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's winter. We need to get ready for the spring rush. We have the graduation parties that we've got to get ready for. We've got to up what we're going to do in the store.
Yeah.
We got wedding season coming in after the graduations, that lasts us. Then we got the whole 4th of July. You
Mm-hmm.
and I had all these. We have the year split into different sections, and so we were busily, making plans for what we were going to do, all that, and then March rolled around, right? And all of a sudden everything got put on hold, and so we had to almost reinvent the entire 2020 business plan and what was important to do, right? It's not about the talk, it's about what actions do you take, right? and
Mm-hmm.
um, and so yeah, that's where we all started with this thing, right? And
Yeah, and March is when you head off into your booming season of business, spring and
right,
summer, and so it was a real huge stomp on the brakes
yeah,
because all of a sudden COVID hit and it was like, wow, now what do we do? So yeah,
yeah.
so what did we do?
Well, I think we rebounded nice.
Hmm.
You know, uh, First of all, this is an outstanding community, right? I don't get out here to say that enough. And so part of the one of the bigger points we wanted to do today, was thank all the people of the Gig Harbor and the Kitsap Peninsula and North Tacoma that
Hmm.
that come in here, and they've been champs. They come in here, and take care of us so well, right? I mean, the people will come in and they will talk to us, and they talk to us about how the stuff we're doing socially, right? To try to contribute to the solution rather than be a part of the problem. They've kept us going so we could keep the 8 boys that work for me, gainfully employed and busy. We had kind of made up our mind we weren't going to be a part of the problem. We were going to be a part of the solution,
I
right?
know.
And
Yeah, and
so,
people helped you by eating your food, but they also helped you by giving you opportunities to serve,
yeah,
which you do both very naturally. And I'm not sure which is stronger. And it's sometimes even just the person trying to promote you in the community.
yeah,
It's like, slow down on the giving there, Gary. Can you just serve brisket? You know,
yeah.
but
Well,
it's all good.
yeah, we do both, and so we've
Mhm.
done a lot of things, we've invented some things that are more or less mainstays now, right? I mean, at first it was all really kind of chaotic. It was kind of random and chaotic. We were just looking for how to help, and we started in with trying to feed people up at the hospital that were dealing with the COVID in the COVID ward, if you
Mhm.
remember that. And there were several things along that line. We went up one time and we fed the Costco staff a couple of times, early on, right? Because they were getting pummeled, right? And the nice people up there, they would call me up and say, "Can you feed us?" So yeah,
Yeah.
we really enjoyed doing that. And then, in the middle of all that, we were trying to help, and then all the restaurants around us, the restaurateurs in the area, were kind of a community, right? And then, but as more of them decided that they weren't going to be open, it put more and more pressure on those of us who were there. So not only were we reaching out to try to help out, we were also dealing with bigger demands, and we're only engineered and for this little shop, we're only engineered for so much, right? And so we were,
Mhm.
if you remember, we were scrambling around trying to figure out, okay, how do we do takeout? How do we take out efficiently, right? How do we, cause we don't like people having to, stand around a long time. We try to get their food ready and stuff. And so when you think about, um, where we were this time or where we were in March compared to how fast we put stuff out now, um, that's there's been a lot of change to our process that we have in here, how we
Yes.
cook, how we,
So before you speed ahead on process, I'm going to stop you because I
yeah,
heard you say you had the problem of serving more people than you're used to because your fellow restaurateurs were closing their restaurants
yeah,
or they were pausing their restaurants.
they're
So
pausing the restaurants, yeah,
yes, you're getting this increased business, which is a good thing, but you're also throttling to this huge volume and it's all takeout and pickup. It's not,
right,
it's not dine. So you're
that's
in this
right,
huge shift of your business in general. We're not dining anymore. It's all, and then you also are picking up all the restaurants that are closing, which most restaurateurs would say, hey, that was great. But given the other tensions, it was a little stressful. And the supply and
yeah,
demand problems, it made it very
yeah.
much more stressful.
And you know me well enough as we try really hard, unlike a lot of my peers in the barbecue world, right? Um, I try really hard not to run out because my business philosophy was if there's demand, go fill it, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you are in business after all, right? Even though we do
Hmm.
all these other things, you're still in business, and so if there's demand, try to figure out a way to go fill it, Now picture that, and you get this thing, you in when you for those who don't know, when you engineer or build a restaurant, you engineer a restaurant, and one of the things that's really big in the business plan is you're looking about how many are you going to serve in a day, right? Because you set up your whole process around that, and then so when
Yeah.
that doubles on you, right? You can't
Hmm.
just go remodel a kitchen, right? To do that stuff, you have to work with
Hire
what you
extra
got.
people,
Yeah, but
hire
there's
extra people, more countertops.
yeah, yeah, but if there's no place for them to stand, there comes a point of diminishing return, right? Because people are standing on
Hmm.
top of each other, and then oh yeah, we're in COVID, so we have these new rules of separation and space, and
Yep.
all these kinds of things. So that gets to be really interesting. That got really interesting, early on. What I like to call the April May time frame, where it was really just we didn't know what to do. We were figuring it out on the fly, right? And
Yeah.
as the year went on, we found best known methods, right? We just kept practicing and doing different things, and eventually got it to level out, you know. And
Mhm.
I think we've had that famous conversation before about we learned how to throttle. We learned more than we probably want to know, right?
Mhm.
About
Right.
about things like DoorDash, right?
Yeah.
And the community learns a tremendous amount about DoorDash, right? And that
Mhm.
when you call them, it's all about you're making a contract with them. You're really not making a contract with us, right? We allow them to come in here and pick up the food, but they have a lot of stress and growing problems too, right?
Yeah, and you deliver, but really they're delivering. Unless it's over
Yeah,
15 pounds, you're getting in your car, but
yeah,
they're really your delivery. And as well as they work is as well as you're working. And I'm
yeah,
sure there's a trick in making the food, keeping the food hot, getting the food to the consumer all within that new machine.
yeah.
And everybody's taxed and everybody's
Definitely.
shifting how they're doing business. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
So we learned a tremendous amount, probably more than we ever wanted to know about doing that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
But
I'm
but
sure.
uh, but now it's just become the way we do things, right?
Mhm.
It's very ingrained in who we are and what we do, right?
So, so Gary, tell them about this Saturday or whenever that was. You were out like trying to buy brown sugar at Safeway or something. Some
Yeah.
of your supply and demand things were almost comical, like with things that you weren't able to get during the crunch of it all.
Yeah, the supply chain, and this is something that the public doesn't get to see, is how blown up the supply chain is. There's general grocery, like what you were talking about, and
Hmm.
um, there was a massive shortage of brown sugar. Now we use a lot of brown sugar, and you didn't have any heads up; it would just run out everywhere.
Hmm.
Whether it would be in our supplier chain, and then what do we do when our supplier chain runs out? Well, we try to go hit the supermarkets or wholesalers or whatever you can do.
Hmm.
Well, they were out too, right? Same thing with simple things, the Clorox wipes, for goodness sake, one of them was for salads, right? You couldn't get romaine for a while because when COVID struck, they didn't. they didn't plant anymore in the hothouses and stuff where it's all grown. And
Mhm.
so then, well, what do? Yeah, they fired back up, but it takes a while for the plant to grow and be harvested and processed and all the things it does. It just went round and round, whether it be, some of the southern delicacies, right, that we get. We do from fried okras and fried pickles and things like that we do that we're known for. That stuff comes sometimes as far as Mexico, right, before it gets to us, right? And
Mm.
when COVID struck, that stuff was very restricted. And you knew me as I didn't have any time for anything. I'm running around getting that stuff wherever I can get it. I'm shipping it in from wherever I can find it,
Mhm.
right? And we still don't have it. We still don't have it fixed. We make
I
it
think there
look.
was that the Bluebell ice cream thing too? That happened, I think, right
Yeah,
around COVID.
the Bluebell ice cream thing
Everything.
came in. Everything shut
It's
down.
just random.
We still
Yeah.
don't have a good beat on the Big Reds and the Southern sodas and stuff like that we have. They're hit and miss at best, and so yeah, we're still trying to put the supply chain back together in a lot of aspects. Then
Yeah.
so that was general grocery. Then the whole meat crisis came about because they had shut down the meat processing plants, and so without that, how do you get a hold of your briskets and your pork shoulders and your chicken and your turkey and all these things that we did,
Yeah.
right? So even you start to think about that on top of we're dealing with more, we're trying our best to stay open, right, and serve more and more people, and it was a really interesting summer, right,
Yeah.
as we worked through all those kind of things, and we were out. I think some of the people that will watch this will remember, they'd come in for their staples, right, and we just didn't have it. We couldn't get it, right, and so
Yeah.
but everybody was so understanding, right. They were
Mhm.
just like, they would tell us, well, we're just happy that you're still open, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was probably one of the biggest engineering challenges that I had gone through in a long time, right? And that's including all the stuff I did in my tech days, right? And but
Yeah.
this was really you
Mhm.
had to be really proactive out there in the market to try to keep things going. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of crazy. So, and it's still not a perfect wheel. And I think we talked before we got online here that, there's still things that are broken and there's still people in the community that are not getting their needs met. There's kids that are asking for pajamas for Christmas instead of
Right,
toys. There's
right,
still, I mean, I talk with my other clients about the generosity of the Washington State and our Pierce County community, and it is amazing. There is a lot of help available, but the breakdown is often in how do I get the help? Or I
yeah,
was fine last week, but this week I'm not fine, and my surplus check's not what I thought. And
yeah,
so, can you talk to that a little bit? Because we have a really good machine here in Gig Harbor for how we help the community. So, what do you have to
yeah,
say there?
yeah. We settled in. Excuse me, like I said, like I was saying in the beginning, it was kind of random. We were looking for how to get out there, and then as it is today, I still have people contact me and going, look, I want to help. I don't know how to tap into to giving help, right? As well as there's quite a few people that need help, as you alluded to. My recommendation to anyone that still wants to get involved and still help is we like working through the Greater Gig Harbor Foundation.
Oh, is it
Um,
Greater Gig Harbor Foundation?
yeah, Greater Gig Harbor Foundation. Because a lot of folks would look at me and say, Gary, help me a little bit because I've got the ability to give, but I don't know how to get in touch with the local folks so I can help, so my money can
Mhm.
stay local and help, right? And so
Mhm.
Greater Gig Harbor Foundation does a great job of that, and that's for example, we're still doing, all right, we've done this since April of last year. We're still doing the Friday, feed the seniors at home, the homebound seniors, right?
Mhm.
And we'll do about 100 meals on a Friday morning, right? Boxed them
Mhm.
up. And they usually, the Greater Gig Harbor Foundation collects the names and gets people involved in that. And then on Wednesday, they tell me what the count's going to be for the coming Friday, right? And then I get it supplied up. And then Friday morning, I make those boxes, and the volunteers will come pick them up, and then go take them to the homebound folks that they scheduled it for, right?
Is that Gig
Um,
Harbor only, or is it Gig Harbor surrounding? Are you guys
I
crossing the bridge, or is it just Gig Harbor?
I think it's just out here on the peninsula, Gig Harbor and the local peninsulas as far as they go.
Yeah.
But they
Okay.
will. But the cool thing about Gig Harbor Foundation is I think they have access to the other organizations and associations that are also doing this, right? So
Mhm.
even if you don't plug into them, I think they probably know who who else is doing it, right? You can plug in there, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I know they struggled too, because there became more demand than I think they knew how to how to
Sure.
satisfy from time to time.
Yep.
That they told me at one point they had a waiting list, every week. They could go up. They could only go so much in a week, right? And but I think we're getting everybody covered, right? But for those that are still looking to go out and get involved and lend a helping hand, they're a great place to start, because all that gets collected and organized, and then it comes to not only myself. They had the YMCA helping. They had several of us that were coming together on those Friday meals, right,
Mhm.
to provide to provide the access to that, to food and important things like that. And it's very local, right?
So you sign up to be a volunteer with them, and they'll plug you out into the community with projects like what you're doing on Friday mornings
Right,
with seniors. Is that what you're
right,
saying? Yeah.
right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So I know you're also doing your regular sponsorship of the Hit Dogs Gig Harbor
Yep,
baseball team, and 10%. You always have an opportunity to donate your 10% of your receipts to the Hit Dogs,
right.
which is the great support of the young men in the Gig Harbor area. And also, you're getting ready to launch an effort to help schools raise money. So
Right.
why schools raising money? What brought that around to
Well,
you?
well, think about it. We're still in this. We're still pretty much in this lockdown. So
Sure.
PTAs and these organizations,
Hmm.
they're very dependent on fundraising in order to help kids, right? Not everything
Hmm.
comes through state funding or tax funding or what have you, right? That barely gets the
Hmm.
buildings done. So, so the question then became, how do you help schools, right? How do how are they going to go out and do that PTA fundraising and things that they need to do, whether it be the
Hmm.
volleyball team or the PTA or the football team, what have you, right? So we're going to open up just like we do with the Hit Dogs, right? Where the team is out and says, hey, go over to Barbecue to You, and then put your receipt in the box. It's right there by the counter, right? Then Barbecue to You gives back 10% of the ticket right back into that organization. So we're going to broaden that plan, rather than just do it all the time for Hit Dogs. We're going to offer it to the schools, right? And you'll be able to catch the what school, we're going to give them a week. Everybody gets a week at a time, right? Scheduled in, and then just go out and promote people coming over to see us or at Barbecue to You, and put the receipt in the box. And then voila, they start to make a few bucks to help them do the things that they need to do.
So if I'm hearing this video and I'm involved in school fundraising, do I contact you or Lucy or who?
You should
Just call the
contact Lucy.
store?
Yeah, just call the store. They'll get with me. I'll probably pass it to Lucy, because Lucy coordinates all that. Lucy Rao,
Hmm. Hmm.
she coordinates all that kind of stuff for us, right?
Hmm. Okay.
And but I'll get it there, and then she'll make contact with you, right, or with the association, and we'll see where they plug into the schedule at.
Okay.
But I
So what's coming around the corner besides the school fundraising? What's going on with what do you think as a business owner is going to happen in the next 3 months with your business? Is it going to start to recover? Or what are you thinking?
um,
Has the
right.
price of brisket come down yet, or is it going to come down?
It's still pretty expensive. There's a lot
Hmm.
of again, there's a lot of inflation in the supply chain. Even though things are becoming more fluid, more liquid, pricing on that stuff has gone up. And I would expect what you're going to see across all restaurants, not just us, right, is
Hmm.
you're going to start to see price adjustments that are going to come
Hmm.
in on menus, because the businesses that are staying open are having to bear the inflationary cost of the supply chain. And unfortunately, that means we gotta pass some of that on to the onto the
Hmm.
consumer, right? So that's one thing that's going to happen. It's really interesting. I think we are going to open up a little bit, or people are anticipating it's going to open,
Yeah.
because weddings are starting. I'm starting to get calls to book weddings, and things like air shows and stuff like that, where we go out and do concessions and things along that line. Those calls are starting to come in, not near as the magnitude as it used
Hmm.
to be, but there's still a few people that are getting ahead of it, because they believe it's gonna open up, or be something they can do, right?
Well, and
Um,
you're such a perfect business to do an outdoor. Why have you not done an outdoor seating
I just don't
scenario?
I just don't have the everything I have around me is a high traffic parking lot, right? So
Yeah.
there's no way for me to get a tent out, right, and get something out there. But I also anticipate that that we'll get some kind of limited seating back pretty soon, right?
Mhm.
We're over here, we're closer to Kitsap, even though we're part of Pierce County, we're closer to Kitsap, and so
Yeah.
sometimes they'll let us here in Gig Harbor piggyback, with the Kitsap. Sometimes they won't, just out of the rigidity of the rules, right? But we're hoping that they'll see their work clear to let us start doing limited seating again soon and that kind of thing. So I think as the vaccine gets going and different things play out, right, that as we go towards summer, we'll probably get a little bit of our seating back.
Okay. What else?
Yeah, that's my
Anything
guess.
else you want to leave them with?
No, we're just like I said, we're gonna respond with every opportunity we got to get back to normal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're
And
still doing Olala wines. You're
still
still
doing a
doing
lot, right? And we're still doing a lot of wines, and we're still. And matter of fact, we're the I think the vineyard's closed right now. So if you want a lot of wine, you come here right now, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's funny. Yeah, you're a sole distributor at this
I'm a
point. Yep.
I'm a sole distributor, but man, that stuff is so good. I you
Mhm.
know I thoroughly enjoy
Yeah.
supporting those folks.
Yes, I do
Um,
too.
and of course, we're gonna keep the artists coming in. Because you got to remember also with the street fairs not going on, these artists don't have an opportunity to get their stuff out. So
Mhm.
right here in the lobby, of course, we got the big art show going on one side of the lobby, and then we've got barbecue and book still going with Larry Fowler. He just released yet a new book that he's debuting in here right now, right?
Mhm.
And so we'll keep the authors coming in. We'll keep the artists coming in. We'll work we'll help the schools. We'll help hit dogs and the sports activities, and just basically any way we can find a way to get back into the community. That's where we're going to go.
Yeah, sounds good. So the lobby activities are not going to cease just because COVID's over or
Right,
COVID starts to slow down.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And the school fundraising is going to start up, and hopefully we'll have a close to sort of normal spring
Yeah,
upsurge and your business will get some growth again.
yeah,
I'm hoping for some sense of normalcy. I know it's kind of this conflict because you hear that the cases are up, but the vaccine is actively coming out. So,
right.
and we're getting better at testing ahead of time. And instead of saying you absolutely can't do this, it's just get tested first and then you can do this. So
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
sort of shifting. I have the disease of positivity and optimism. So I'm always looking for the silver cloud. I have clients who are in absolute unaffected state from
Yeah.
COVID. And there are parts of the industries that have continue to do well. And I think you're a restaurant that was proactive about being creative. And I think you did pretty well, if not somewhat normal during COVID, because you just got creative and reached out to the community and kept kind of business as usual and pushed the word out. You didn't give a lot of discounts. You didn't do anything different with your food. I mean, the food
No,
part of the business just stayed the same, but I think
right.
the way you flexed and used the dining room was helpful. And the philanthropy is always a good thing. It's you don't do philanthropy for the business, but it's certainly great for business, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And it's like the sign on the wall out there says, adversity is just opportunity. You just have to you just have
Yes.
to step back and think about it, right? And say
Yes.
how do you want to shift and change? Back when I was in the tech world, right? This is what we used to take the young folks who we would hire, right, and teach them how. This is what we did when we taught them how to think out of the box, right? Because
Yep.
not everything is a paradigm, right? And you got to get around it and say, okay, how can I do things different?
Well, thank you for leading our community with that attitude. It's a pleasure to work with you, and it's exciting to see how you're really thriving, struggling but thriving during this crazy season, and having a good attitude and kind of teaching people how to go about it with how you're going about it. So I think you're a role model to a lot of people. So appreciate your great attitude, and I'm excited to see what the lobby continues to transform into. It just kind of always surprises me. I was in there the other day, and I was like, wow! I was just in Port Townsend looking at art galleries, and I feel like I'm still there right now because there was
Right,
all this very full tables of art, and I'm
right.
a creative person myself, so I just had such appreciation for that. So go Lucy, she's doing a great job. So
It is doing
anyway,
good.
thanks Gary, we'll do this again. hopefully at least next month. We're talking about another Gary in the Kitchen, and I don't think we have our topic yet, but if you're listening to this video and you've got an idea or something you'd love to see Gary teach online, we've kind of covered the raw trimming and the seasonings and the brisket kind of triple time, and we don't want to keep doing that information unless that's what you guys want to hear. But if there's something about burn ends or ribs or something that we haven't covered yet, please let us know what that is. Or if maybe we could just do a Q&A session at some point, just gather questions and answer questions in the kitchen. So we want to be here to serve you and teach you the things you want to learn. So
yeah, matter of fact, I'll start right now with my soapbox. This is January, right? And if anybody that knows me very well knows that January is time you get out there and clean the pit. Right?
Scrubbing your grills, yeah.
Scrubbing the grills, because that stuff's been sitting there probably since Labor Day, right?
Yeah,
and,
gross.
And so now's the time you get out there and you clean that thing up, and then hey, since you got it clean, go ahead and get it fired up and make some nice barbecue.
Yeah, right? And I think that's incredible that a guy that is retired cooking and serving barbecue and drinking beer is telling everyone in January to clean their grills. I mean, that just sounds super organized and forethought like, and so I think that's impressive. Is that really the case? The barbecue fiends get out and clean their grills in January and February? Is that a Texas thing? Because in Texas it's hot, Gary, but in Pacific Northwest it's raining.
No, because I think it's pretty natural timing actually, because you cook really hard all the way up through Thanksgiving, and then you kind of take that little break around Christmas. At least a lot of us, I did anyway. I see people out on the social media, they're still going at it strong, right? But yeah, I always had that little break, and then so January would come, and Christmas would pass, and New Year's pass, and then I go, well, let me go out. I got to get that pit clean, so I'd always do it in January, right? And then by February, I'm hot at it again, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I love barbecuing in the snow. I'll have to show you pictures sometime.
Oh my goodness! See, that's not familiar to me at all. Like salmon and meats and steaks and hamburgers is all a summer thing. So you'll have to. That would be a fun video to do. It's too bad we can't get some snow. That would be very fun to show you barbecuing in the snow to your friends in Austin.
Right.
Yeah. Well, very good. It's good to see you, Gary. We'll be talking again, and take care. Thank you, Gig Harbor community, for all the giving you're doing through Barbecue to You. And again, contact the Gig Harbor Foundation if you're wanting to plug into the good works that Gary's doing here in Gig Harbor. So take care.
All right. Bye, everybody.